labor right now. So
Okay. Can you see? Okay, we see it up there on the left side of the screen. Okay, here we go. So we got Brother Thomas on here, and we have The Truth on here, and we have Tony on here so far. And again, I'm going to look for everybody else as they trickle in. So, Brother Thomas, I know you heard DJ CJ give his explanation. What would you say as far as your story, not only your story, but again, you telling your story and somebody resonating with your story, how could one create peace throughout these so-called chaotic times?
well, I didn't get to hear all of what Brother Clifton was saying. Could everybody hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And first, man, I would like to thank you and everyone else that are on here for inviting a little brother like me on as well. And one thing that I would say from personal experience, but also from the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is during these times, one of the most effective ways to have peace in this chaotic moment would be to go within self. So often, whenever we're engaged in the hustle and bustle and everyday life, specifically as men striving to be protectors, providers, and maintainers, we don't have the luxury of always reflecting and getting to know more about ourselves. So in this chaotic time, the more and more we get in tune with ourselves and the Creator, it brings a certain calmness during this storm.
Facts.
Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said this in a book that he has called Closing the Gap, the interviews. Did you hear me? Not interviews. The T was left out. The interviews of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He was speaking on disasters, period. And he was saying during times of chaos, what we deem to be chaos, in that chaotic time is similar to a child coming forth from the womb. So whenever any of us have seen birth, if we've been in that delivery room, which I have, it looks very, very chaotic with all of the blood and everything that the doctors and your spouse have to go through in that moment of just striving to bring life on the planet Earth. It looks very chaotic. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaks about how pain and pleasure switch spots in a snap of a finger.
Thanks.
The mother is in pain, but soon as she see that beautiful face of that little boy, that little girl, she forgets all about the pain and it goes straight to a pleasure moment. And so likewise with the calamities that we're facing in life, or this dark hour that we're in, it is to bring birth. So teaches the Honorable Minister, it is to bring birth to a new us. There's no way that a sane individual should be going through this quarantine and come out of this quarantine the same individual that we were going into the quarantine.
Facts.
And so, you know, to answer that question, that's how, from personal experience and from instructions given by, in my humble opinion, the greatest man that is living, the Honorable Minister, is to go within self and gain a stronger stronger relationship with the Creator. You know, whether you know him as we call him by his proper name, Allah, if you just say God, if you say Yahweh, Elohim, or Creator, whatever it is that you call that Creator, because we all talking about the same person. Gaining a connection to that Creator, and when you have a stronger relationship with the Creator, you have a stronger relationship with self, because you and the Creator are connected. And so that's the advice that I would give, you know, first and foremost, on gaining that strong relationship and coming out of this chaotic time with some peace.
Love it. So let me I'm gonna add some talking points on there.
Yes, sir.
It won't let me minimize my screen. Okay, so I guess not. We got so many people on here, it won't let me minimize my screen. That's a great problem that I've never thought to have. So I'm gonna, while the next person gives their response, I'm just gonna set up my laptop and fix that little problem. But let's go with Tony. Tony, you've been on here for a while, and then we'll go with Truth, and then we'll go with Coach Don Carlisle.
Yes, sir. Can everybody hear me all right?
Absolutely.
Jason, real quick.
Yes.
Are we going to be conscious of the time at this point, from this point on, or are we just I'm just curious.
I love that. If we could keep it at 2 minutes, even though the spirit might come over you and you might want to go 3 or 4 or 5, but if we can keep it around 2 or 3, we can get through these comments really fast, or we can cover the comments in the Q&A. So we got 2 hours. But thanks for that, DJ.
Awesome.
Now, Tony, I want to give you a little bit of motivation, bro. Imagine you at home and you're watching this. You're bored. You've been watching exciting stuff on social media all day, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And now you click to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically saying, bring that energy to the Tony that's at home looking to stimulate his mind. And again, everybody that's on, come with that energy, or not. But again, I'm just telling you, people around the world are watching, and they're ready to, like Brother Thomas said, interview. That was dope too.
Right. So, of course, I'm gonna try to be as short as possible. I really rarely try to be too long-winded, but
let me mute everybody.
One of the biggest things that I learned while on the Ball State campus when I was going for both my bachelor's and master's degree and putting several pieces of leadership on campus was, you cannot get peace or give peace if you do not have peace. That is a thing that one of my mentors by the name of Christopher Moore would always tell me on the campus, and especially dealing with the masses of people. You cannot give peace unless you yourself have peace, right? So when we look at the concept of peace, the very opposite of peace is chaos, right? And chaos only comes in the form of not knowing and being confused, being lost in a sensation of confused, but it's only for a period of time. For a lot of people during this quarantine, one of the biggest things that they must understand is this is for a period of time, and how you use this time will be better able to direct you. One of the biggest things that the people can engage in is they can begin to engage in knowledge, having the knowledge of self, but not only having the knowledge of self and having the knowledge of what's going on around you, but in having faith that this period of time will come to an end. Just 2 weeks after the quarantine began, 2 million, American workers had lost their jobs. So there was plenty of chaos going around in that time and in the minds of many people. So again, having faith that the situation will get better, and this will allow a person to not only calm themselves, that they're going to see it through, but they will also be able to begin to see opportunities, whether spiritually, economically, financially. They will begin to see opportunities. And in this period of seeing opportunities, one of the best songs that I remember hearing was Lauryn Hill's Peace of Mind, where she says, they say it's impossible, but I know it's possible. They say it's improbable, but I know it's tangible. Whenever you're in a period of depression, I've seen there's a lot of opportunity for ascension. So again, having faith that they'll see it through and arming themselves with knowledge, both interiorly and exteriorly. So that's what I believe.
Okay. Coach Carlisle, how do you create peace throughout so-called chaotic times? And if you don't mind, I want to throw out some definitions just to spice it up a little bit. So the definition that I came up with through my research was creation definition, the action or process of bringing something into existence. Maintain, because again, how do you create and maintain peace throughout chaotic times? So maintain definition, cause or enable a condition or state of affairs to continue. So chaos, let's do the chaos definition. Chaos definition was complete disorder and confusion. Feels like that right now for a lot of people. And then peace definition, freedom from disturbance, tranquility, a state or period in which is no war or war has ended. So I just wanted to throw those definitions out there because again, we're talking about creating something, maintaining something throughout a chaotic time, and we're talking about peace. That's a lot wrapped up in one.
Okay, I'm Don Carlisle, Coach Carlisle. When I think about peace, you kind of took a little piece of what I was going to do, is the freedom from disturbance or tranquility, and maintain it during the crisis. A crisis is something that you have no control over. Okay, so when I think about how I can create the peace, is when peace comes in different ways that you can relieve stress. I think in these times when we have all this extra time to ourselves, like Brother Thomas said, we have to go inward. We have to look inward and do things, especially that we don't have the time to normally do. I think sometimes just having these types of conversations with people outside of ourselves, people that we're not normally in the same conversations with, could bring that some sort of peace to you, especially when you're just able to vent. Those things right there are just helpful. Finding ways to express ourselves right now as we continue to go and move. Some people are creative, but they don't have those creative outlets. These are times that you can work on doing those things that you wouldn't have the time to do otherwise. Stay busy. Start a habit. Start that project that you've been putting off. Sometimes and oftentimes, we always put things off. So I think God or the Creator, whoever you want to call your higher power, is giving us some time to just stall ourselves and to slow ourselves down. So this would be a time that you can go closer to your higher power. Stay in prayer, meditation. I know that I've been able to start a new habit with the things that I've done, and I've been not able to do in the past. It's because I'm so busy. For people that don't know, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, and I'm a small business owner where I have a fitness business. So there's oftentimes it's too busy. Life it's moving too fast. So I've been forced to slow down and do some of the things that I probably have to do to probably help me to gain more sanity and to be more human, as opposed to just working all the time. So those things.
It's gonna be 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
It's over.
And disconnect with your
2 minutes.
loved one.
I try to be fair because everybody else did like 2 minutes and 10 seconds, but we gotta tighten it back up to 2 minutes.
And this is dope how every day's evolving. So he'll say 2 minutes, and then everybody will feel bad if they start talking over it. And we gonna start looking at funny. Yeah, that's dope. So we gonna do that. We like 2 minutes, and then if you like, yeah, back in 1925, like, come on, man. So
now you done took like 15 of my seconds though.
We might be back. Jason, and if they in a really, not that I want you all to do this purposely, but if y'all in something that's in a deep point that y'all need to finish and wrap up real quick, we'll give you a little bonus time. But we can't go too much past 2 minutes because we're gonna get into the hour.
That's all good. I say connect with family. I'll leave it with that.
Yes, sir.
Truth. I think he's still on. Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'm here. Sorry for that.
Nah, no problem. So we're talking about creating and we're talking about maintaining peace of mind, because right, everything's mental, right? So peace of mind in a chaotic time where everything, because that's all chaos is trying to understand everything. How would you suggest creating peace in these so-called chaotic times and maintaining it?
In order to create and maintain peace, you have to truly reflect on yourself and be able to just realize who you truly are at your core. And I say with times like these, and we have now had so much time on our hands to truly be able to do personal development, truly figure out who you are and what your gifts are. So when we do begin to get out of the storm and capitalize all the gifts we learned and the skills we learned while in a time of chaos.
True. Now, can I ask you a question? I'm old, right? I feel old right now. And how old are you?
13.
Okay, so right now I want to act like I'm old, and who's this 13-year-old to be telling me that? Right? I might even be listening to you a certain way because of my age. Can you give me a little bit of your accomplishments to basically give credit to everything that you're about to say moving forward? Just give us a little thing, like, do you know Les Brown? Have you been on TV? How old were you when you first wrote your first book? And again, you're 13 right now. I'm talking about your first book, and who, you know, how many professional athletes you train in stock trading. And again, just give a little bit about who you are, because I celebrate you, little bro. I celebrate you.
All right. So my name is Christian the Truth Jones. I'm an international certified Les Brown international author.
I'm sorry, let me mute that.
CEO of Return on Investment. I show people how to successfully day trade and invest in the stock market. I've been doing this for over 4 years. I've spoken on 3 different continents, and I've been speaking all over the world since I was 10 years old.
Love it. Love it. How many books have you written?
I've written 3 books.
Awesome. Okay, now appreciate that. So again, moving forward, if everybody want to give a little bit of background of who they are and the credibility, because we have a lot of new people on, and it'll be good for them to see what you got going on. Okay, so let's go into. Yeah, I don't see anybody else. Let's go into the next question. So next question. All right. What are the best ways to create and there we go with create and maintain. Create and maintain discipline during the quarantine. Now remember, and again, Brother Thomas, if y'all want to go in that same order, this is the only thing that you're missing to becoming and doing anything you want in life, right? So this is a really, really important question. Super important. So I'm going to ask it again, and then Brother Thomas, you can take it away. What are the best ways to create or maintain discipline during the quarantine? Oh, hold on real quick. You were muted. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, sir. Consistency. You know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches that there's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. So in anything that we want to accomplish, whether it be physically, spiritually, or economically, there is nothing that is impossible for us to accomplish if we make up our mind and remain consistent with the mentality in which we're striving to morph into. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the human mind is impossible. I mean, he said the human mind is infinite. I'm sorry. We're only limited by our lack of vision. The scripture backs that up by saying, where there's no vision, the people will perish. Right. So if we have a vision, all of us, no matter what field we're in, if we have a vision of what we desire to be, we just have to groom our mind into being consistent, into making it to the place that we desire to be. So consistency. And, you know, the consistency would do away with the procrastination, which is the #1 killer of time.
Facts. Same order.
1 minute. That was great.
Allahu Akbar.
Same order? Hold on real quick. What was that? Tony, or what was that? Yeah, that was Tony. Here you go, Tony.
Can everybody hear me again? And again, that was beautiful by Brother Thomas. I always love hearing Brother Thomas speak.
Praise
but One of the great ways to create and maintain discipline, I believe, during this time is beginning to, again, as I once said, really look into and start delving in knowledge. One of the greatest philosophers, or one of the greatest philosophers in history, was Marcus Aurelius. He was a former Roman emperor sometime before the fall of Rome. And one of the things that he said is the first law to create discipline is to create a discipline of perception. That discipline of perception not only comes from disciplining how you see things or how you see yourself, but how you see the environment around you, and also now creating really delving deep within your own thoughts, starting to control your own thoughts. Why do you think the way you think? Why do you see the perspective the way you see your perspective? How do you see the world? So really then starting to control those thoughts and maintain those thoughts and have those thoughts begin to align to what you see in your vision, as Brother Thomas was speaking. The second one is the discipline of action. For after your thoughts, now you really have to begin to discipline your action and begin to act on that business that you've been meaning to start. Begin to act on breaking that habit that you once started, as habits start to form behaviors. And the continuum of habits and behaviors can either lead to certain positive consequences or negative consequences in your relationships with others. Lastly, there's the discipline of will after action. This is where, even when you don't feel like it, this is the place of where discipline comes in to reinforce that action that you need to be able to do in order to complete and achieve your vision. So, thank you.
All right, I like that, Clifton. I like that, DJ. I like that a lot. Okay, so after you, Coach Carlisle, let me see, because I was going to give a definition, but I learned from the first time. So if you're not going to do that, I'm going to give a definition after yours, though.
Go ahead with your definition.
Okay, but I want to make sure we on the same page because we're going to be coaching together. We can't have no problems. This early. Okay, discipline. The practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct discipline. Now, again, this is somebody training somebody else, right? Guess what our punishment is when we train ourselves? Again, I'm just asking you. I'm just setting this up. We have to create the punishment, right? And again, I'm just going off of this definition. And a few synonyms were train, drill, teach, regiment, and order. Coach Carlisle.
Okay, I'll be really quick. Discipline for me is all about habits. You are what you continually do daily.
Somebody got to mute their mic. All right, I got it.
Okay, you are what you continually do. So our habits are extremely important. I read a book called Make Your Bed, and basically what it speaks to is if you get up every morning and make your bed, the first thing that you do, it becomes a habit, and that then translates to whatever you do for the rest of the day. So your habits, your daily habits, is how you form discipline. And if you're disciplined enough to do the same things, especially right now in this time, get up. My schedule right now is get up, meditate, work on whatever it is that I need to work on as far as building a relationship with my higher power, and then I'll do something as it pertains to my learning and getting organized in my business. It pays me to be organized, especially way out in front. And right now, that's how I'm spending my time. And then I always have some type of physical activity, and then again, some more meditation time. So you get yourself on the schedule and you'll be more disciplined.
Facts. All right, Truth. There we go. Okay, Truth, we got you on? All right. What would you say the best way to create discipline? And again, you're 13 years old. Your discipline is on a whole nother level in the adult world, right? Can we get a little piece of that? Can we get a little piece of some discipline structures from you? And again, what are some best methods to progress that?
I would say as far as creating discipline for yourself, it takes focus and clarity of your goal and clarity of your mind. Because when everything's full of chaos and everything seems overwhelming, you can never get stuff done because you're trying to multitask and you're doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You're not actually achieving anything. So it takes focus, a clarity of mind, and truly just takes control and being able to control your space and control your environment, and especially your immediate environment, which is now your household for most likely. So be able to control that and just build off of it and be able to achieve your goals through it.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. We're on number 3, so we making some good time right now. And DJ, you can get in if you want to on this one, because I know you got a lot of good knowledge on this. But Brother Thomas, I know we're going to get some good information with you for this one. What are the best foods and times? What are the best foods and times to eat during this quarantine? Because I got a feeling a lot of people going to be ready for the football season, not only to watch it, but to play it. If they don't listen to what I think you about to say next. Hold on, let me go. There we go.
Yes, sir. Man, of course, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches the best way to eat, which is in his book, which is the only book that he has 2 parts of, which is How to Eat to Live. And so the best foods that we can eat are the foods that have the most nutritional value and that are created for sustaining life and not taking away life. In his book, How to Eat to Live, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad talks more about how than what. So if a person is a vegetarian, but in this time, due to having more time, you eating all day, you're worse off than somebody who is a steak eater, a beef eater, that's only eating 1 time per day. So how to eat to live. So of course, the best foods to eat, as we stated, are those that are meant to preserve in life and sustain in life. And the best times to eat, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, are between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. Because none of us, well, I'm not going to say none of us, however, a large majority of us are not doing manual labor or physical labor right now. So our bodies don't necessarily need as much food to keep us with the energy to do the job that we are required to do. So if we eat in between that 4 and that 6, which are the average dinner times anyway, and give our bodies 24 hours to digest the food, which science teaches that it takes 24 hours to digest 1 meal anyway, then we give ourselves the opportunity to eat what we need, but also give our bodies the relief that it needs to do with the food, what it needs to do with the food to give us the adequate energy to wake up the next day and be consistent in strengthening our discipline in which we strive in the game.
So Brother Thomas, I got a quick question for you. So you're basically saying if I eat 3 big meals a day, I got 72 hours of food in my stomach?
If you eat 3 meals per day, 7 days a week, that's 21 meals. But however, if the body digests 1 meal every 24 hours,
wow,
simple mathematics now, 21 minus 7 leaves 14 meals still in us. And so that's what we get into the anatomy, where everybody has a 6-pack. We all are born, with the same skeletal system, but some people's 6-pack is just in a brown paper bag. You get what I'm saying? That brown paper bag happened to be the stomach that Dunlapped over the belt. So yeah. Yes, sir. We definitely, in this time with so much time on our hands, it's imperative that we watch how we're eating. because, you know, we all human. You sitting, if you're not busy, especially if you're not busy, those chips that you bought start looking good. Cookies that you bought start looking good. You bypass the fruit that's in the tray. But yet, it's a struggle that we all have, but the more discipline we gain, because the honorable minister, not to go over my time, just to answer your question as well. But, you know, we are taught that discipline equals love as well. A lot of times when we think discipline, like even if you read from the dictionary, it has nothing about love in the definition. But however, when we are able to discipline ourselves, it shows a certain amount of love. Yes, sir. It shows a certain amount of love that a person has for themselves as well. Because where there is no discipline, there looks like a lack of love. So the more we begin to discipline ourselves, it shows the love that we are gaining for ourselves. And if we love ourselves, we'll be more conscious of what we're putting in our body, because with love of self, we want to extend that love that we have for ourselves to those in which we love. So we have to sustain our life.
Major fact. Tony, you unmute your mic. All right?
Yes, sir. Again, wonderfully done. So if you could restate your question.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's hard to come behind that. We should have probably had him go last. Definitely on that question. But what are the best foods and times to eat? But I know you know this, because again, I can look at your physique. I can look at Thomas's physique. You definitely can answer this question as well. What are the best foods and times to eat during the quarantine? So you can probably go more into the foods or anything like that. But there you go.
Yes. So the best foods and time to give life, in order to give life to your vision, you must begin to consume food that gives life to you, right? And the food that you are consuming that is giving you life are foods that should also be what should reduce diseases, right? According to the popular Dr. Sebi, fruits and vegetables, apples, avocados, bell peppers, as well as, you know, other foods, other vegetables, are the foods that you want to really be eating during this time to reduce mucus. As mucus is one of the housing for diseases, this is why a lot of people have to be careful about the red meat that they consume, the dairy that they consume, the amount of dairy that they consume, and the amount of sweets that they consume, as they also begin to build up mucus in one system that really begins to house these diseases, right? So not only, especially at this time, should we be practicing as to what we eat, but to go back to your question, we should be practicing when we eat. This is a really great time for persons to begin fasting, as fasting doesn't only have spiritual properties and spiritual benefits, but it has a lot of benefits toward the body. As in, if a person is fasting for 72 hours, the body truly begins to now embark on a time to where it can regenerate dead cells and really begin to heal itself, as well as, again, reduce that mucus that is in your system. As diet is not only just what we eat, but one of the things that we should be conscious of this time is what we begin to think, right? And what we begin to become very receptive to. So this goes into the diet of what are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? As all of these things begin to play in somebody's overall health, especially mental health.
Okay, my daughter just woke up, and I'm too smooth to be embarrassed by that. Coach Carlisle?
Yeah.
I know you definitely got some athletes and some players that need to listen up to this question.
Yeah,
hey,
I mean,
real quick, I'm gonna hold this time. Your phone, your orientation on your phone is sideways.
I got you.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. For me, just from an athletic standpoint and personal training standpoint, the brothers made some valid points, and it makes sense. But we also have to be realistic on. I know if we're talking about discipline and all the things we putting in our body, in our spirit, and in our minds, but people gonna eat. So how I was taught, especially book wise. It says, especially for an athlete, you eat for the next 2 to 3 hours of whatever you're gonna do for the next 2 to 3 hours. So if you're gonna be doing nothing, then like you said, then you should probably eat something light or nothing at all. Depending on if I'm coming up on a practice, if I'm coming up on a workout or things of that nature, then I should eat something packed more with carbs or protein that's gonna help me get the energy that I need, so my body can have the fuel that it needs to do whatever it is that I'm trying to do. After that, you should eat something within 30 minutes to put that back, whatever it is that you used to put that back. And that could be a protein shake, that could be something of that nature. It doesn't have to be anything solid. But I agree that 4 to 6 p.m. time frame, and not eating anything after 7 o'clock as a rule of thumb could really help people, especially when in the recovery part of whatever we're doing for our bodies.
Okay. Let me mute that. How much time was that, DJ?
That was like 1:48.
See, Coach Carlisle, you getting it. He was preaching on that first one. Now I'm just like, here we go. This is a big one, y'all. This is a big one. And on panel 3, we're gonna go deeper into that, and we're gonna get both sides of it right from the start. So we definitely gonna go with Brother Thomas on this one. Here we go. What are some useful tips that can help upgrade relationships? Now watch this. There's some partnerships out here too that are going through this quarantine as well. So business partnerships, any type of human interaction / connection that you got. What are some helpful tips to upgrade that during this quarantine? Brother Thomas.
Yes, sir. With not having to be pulled in so many directions, whatever relationships we have, this is a great time to just communicate on all levels. Starting verbally, because we don't have so many different people in our ear. We don't have so many other obligations to meet as far as time-wise where we need to be. So at this particular time, it's perfect to learn how to communicate verbally with one another, whether that be husband to wife, wife to husband, whether that be business partner to business partner. And the more we begin to communicate with one another in the proper manner, even if we disagree, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stated that even in our disagreements, we should argue in the best of manners. Guess what arguing in the best of manners is, Brother Jay? Not arguing at all.
I was about to say taking emotion now, but that was better than
not arguing at all.
Okay.
Because even if we disagree, arguing, as you just stated, that's an emotional, that has to do with emotion. But if we're disagreeing with logic, we're just having a conversation, highlighting points that justify me thinking my way, that may justify you thinking your way, and we can come to a conclusion on whether we are going to agree upon the same things or we're just going to agree to disagree.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No. I'm sorry. Let me go back to this. Truth. I forgot we left Truth in your mouth. I'm sorry about that.
Yes,
I'm sorry about that, Truth, because you are a football player, and I know you've been doing your thing over in Europe, right? You play football over in Europe.
Yeah, I played over there.
No doubt. So not only that question, then we're gonna go back to Brother Thomas. But I am sorry about that. I just saw that on the screen. All this stuff is going with the screen, and I'm just trying to get all this stuff. So my apologies. But what are the best foods and times to eat during this quarantine? And then Brother Thomas, I'm sorry about that. We're gonna go back to you because you're going to the bottom of the ocean on that one.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm sorry, Truth. Here we go.
All right. So as far as the best foods, I would say the best things to eat right now would be mostly fruits and vegetables, especially things that are high in vitamin C that can help and boost your immune system. While it's proven that microdosing on vitamin C won't cure the virus, if you do contract it, it will definitely help your immune system fight the virus. So anything with fruits and vegetables and that is just beneficial to your body in any positive way will be great to eat, especially now. And you don't want to end up overeating either, because overeating can cause you some major problems.
Facts. And again, I want to really, want you to go hard on the next question, because again, young phenomenons and even older phenomenons, they have a hard time with relationships in general. So I'm really super interested to get your perspective on that part. But again, I cut into Brother Thomas's time. But again, I wanted to make sure everybody got their time to do that. So again, my apologies. And then Brother Thomas, if you want to go deeper into that, because we have some new people come on the screen. So let me redo the question.
Brother Jay, I would ask to go ahead and let Brother Truth keep going. Let him.
You want him to keep going? All right.
Yes, sir. So even if it's for the next question, just let the brother keep going.
Truth, you back on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Now you believe in the law of attraction, right? And manifestation and all that stuff, right? Like you manifest, you attract what you put out.
Oh,
blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. Okay.
Forgot about it for some reason.
Okay, so no doubt. So I got an email, and tell me what you think about it. It's a self-reflection email. So it says, say your relationship or partnership was like a big bowl of gumbo. Before you begin repairing anything jointly, imagine writing down every negative ingredient that you brought to that situation and actually begin repairing those issues in you before you even looked at the other ingredients that your partner or whoever is adding to the gumbo, which is the relationship. And I thought that was powerful. But again, you are vibrating at such a high level, it would make sense for you to have older friends or different type of friends, right? So same question. What are some useful tips that can help upgrade relationships or partnerships during this quarantine?
I would say, I know I've heard this a lot, and I bet a lot of you have heard of this. It's all about communication and truly understanding where both of you are coming from, but also looking at each other's perspective. Because if you're only seeing things from your perspective, a relationship is never going to work out because it's too one-sided. And it's like if someone putting too much effort into a relationship, it won't work out. So you guys have to be equal in every part of the relationship. And I do agree with whoever wrote that about you having to look about the negative things about yourself and maybe some of the problems that you brought to the relationship or to the partnership, because like Brother Thomas stated before, we're all people and we're all humans and we have our flaws. And before you look at somebody else and you can judge somebody else, I wouldn't say judge yourself, but truly reflect on yourself and see what you did wrong, fix those problems. Then you can go speak and communicate with your partner or whoever you're in a relationship with.
Facts. All right, Brother Thomas, and then Coach Tony, and then Coach Carla.
Yes, sir. I agree with my young brother. You know, I don't necessarily want to add on to what I was saying. I only had a couple seconds left, so I agree with my young brother and the emailer.
Okay. Coach Carlisle, you got anything to add? No, let's go with Tony. I'm sorry.
It's Tony.
Yeah, Tony was stepping up to the 3-point line. You're like this.
I was just enjoying listening to everybody, especially Truth. You know what I'm saying? I really love Truth. I really love the young energy. A great quote that I came across that was by Joseph F. Newton was, people are lonely because they build walls instead of bridges. A lot of times this happens in relationships where people are a lot of times dealing with external factors, right? External factors that may get in the way of proper communication, external factors that may get in the way of proper thinking, external factors that may get in the way of them actually being truthful with their other partner. I know that this could be sometimes a huge problem from persons, and at this time of quarantine, I would highly suggest that people begin to relearn one another, as you are not the same person that you are the day before, because you've learned something and your experiences are new, and you should not be the same person that you once were for the day before. So people should always begin to relearn one another. What are their likes? What do they dislike? Do they still like bananas? You know, just simple stuff. even on that front. Do they still like this movie? What do they see? What good books have they read? What are some things that they're currently interested in? And during this time of quarantine, I would highly suggest that people, again, really begin to engage in truth, being not only truthful with themselves, but being very truthful with their partners. And if they can really allow themselves to become truthful and see areas that they themselves need to work on, as Brother Truth and Brother Thomas were seeing, and also seeing from that other person's perspective of one thing that they can do better, especially in business. This is a really great time for business partners to really get together and begin to build on opportunity. Then I think they will begin to make headway and footway in their relationship and move forward.
Okay. Coach Carlisle, and then we got Truth.
Okay. The benefit or I guess, for lack of better words, it's hard to follow behind 2 or 3 people talking about the same subject, but for lack of saying the same thing over and over again, communication, I think, is key. And I think that you have to journey inward to yourself and be honest. I think that especially in times where there's less distractions, that you can be honest with yourself and with your partner about the things that maybe you don't like, or you can be honest about the things that you do like. And sometimes, you like said, with the hustle and bustle of the things that we do when we get busy, it's tough to do. We have our own selfish agendas. So I'll say humble yourself down to be able to understand where you need to grow. So then you can bring the best version of yourself to the table.
Okay. So remember, y'all, we're gonna close at 7:55, and then we're gonna go into the Q&A to spice it up right now, because I can see everybody's on everybody's body language. But I know everybody's good, but we need everybody to be doing backwards flips with light bulb sessions and stuff. You know how you get with light bulbs. So I really believe that y'all gonna get that. So during the Q&A, if y'all could ask some of the deepest questions known to man pertaining to yourself, that's gonna help take your life to a whole nother level. I urge you to ask that, please, because you're gonna definitely get what you asked for tonight.
And let me add one other thing too, Jason, if y'all can hear me. Those that are the presenters, participants or whatnot, you all have businesses throughout if you want to utilize some of your 2 minutes to throw a quick little free commercial out there about what you do, maybe your Cash App or something like that, that may help, of course, encourage some of our listening audience to, maybe engage a little bit more. So it's just a plug.
Facts. Okay, so we have Truth. Nope. There we go. Okay. Where's that? Okay, Truth, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You want me to do the question again, or do you have it?
No, I got everything I wanted to talk about as far as that question.
Okay, so I want to ask you this one, and I want to start from from young to so-called mature, right? This is a big one. This is one that's stopping a lot of people. So don't hold any punches. Don't hold any punches with this one. What is the best method to eliminate fear, anxiety, and depression during the quarantine? And watch this. And forever, maybe, right? This is not during the quarantine. This is like, I could kind of be cool with that, experiencing that after the quarantine. So you've done a lot of things that was scary. Well, everybody on here has done a lot of things. But again, from your age standpoint, a lot of people, and again, I'm not trying to throw too much information out there, but my mom was on Family Feud with me, and it made her want to puke from all the pressure. And she's way older than you. So the stuff that you've done and the TV experiences that you've had at a young age, what are some ways to eliminate fear, anxiety, and depression during the quarantine and after, from your perspective?
I would say as far as fear goes, it's really about facing fear in the face and doing it even when you are scared. Because I remember the first time I tried selling my book when I was 8 years old, it was at my barber shop. And I've known this barber for a while now. And I was still scared to go up to him and just ask him to buy my book. But luckily, I was able to work up the courage. I wouldn't even say courage, but work up the belief in myself to go walk up to him. Even though I was nervous and probably mumbling, I was still able to ask him to purchase my book, and he did. And that just relieved all my stress, anxiety, fear, and everything all the emotions or negative emotions I was facing during that time, they just all went away with a simple answer as yes. So as far as fear, it takes about facing it in the face. Anxiety, I would say you'd have to, I would say as far as building confidence and anxiety, maybe being anxious, just truly believing in yourself and knowing you can do it. I do have some recommendations. Just listening to motivational speakers such as E.T., me, Les Brown, and just anyone that can really help you build up your self-confidence. Maybe change your circle, because that can also be a big factor as far as your emotions. So maybe change up your circle and build some more positive friends and positive people in your circle. And then last but not least, depression. I would say the same thing as far as anxiety, but I will say this. Pain is always temporary. No matter how bad you get beaten, no matter how many times you get hurt, pain is always temporary. It's just a matter of withstanding the pain and withholding the pain that causes people to go into depression. The pain is always temporary. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how bad you think it is, pain is always temporary. And it's just a matter of getting through the pain that you'll be able to achieve peace and truly achieve happiness.
159.
150. You got it right there on the dot. All right, Tony.
What's going on, sir?
All right,
peace.
How do you've done a lot of things
yes,
in college, outside of college, before college, to eliminate fear. And we're at 7:55, so this should go into a Q&A. So again, after he answers this, we can go into a Q&A. So if anybody wants to speak, do you see the chat to the right of the screen?
Yes, sir.
Everybody has that option, and if not, we're not gonna let that hold us back. We'll just go into building on this, and then y'all can see, how things unfold. But we want everybody to leave this and literally say, "I'll know more." Right? Now, again, it's up to you to do more, but as long as you know more, and this is not a waste of time, because again, we're gonna share this all throughout social media and YouTube as well. We're just recording it here. But we're going to share this throughout. So let's have a really, really dope conversation, because last time I checked, the world is at home.
Yes,
and like
sir.
DJ said, probably put your business out there. It might work out. Snoop Dogg is sitting on the couch every day looking for content. I'm just playing. So, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Huge question. And again, that feeds into the Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
What are some best ways to eliminate fear, depression, and anxiety during this quarantine and hopefully forever? And I got to see somebody's mic.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So one of the, just to get to a little bit of your earlier question as to who am I and some of the things that I've done. Mm-hmm. Again, my name is Tony Wilburn. One of the things that I've done when I was in high school was building an organization. At the time, it was called the Gentlemen's Club, and it was an area for African-American young men to be able to come and really talk about life, really experience life, and really experience many different truths. We went on to begin to mentor younger children, or behavioral problem children at the elementary schools. After that, I went on to join the military. And after that, I came home and went to college. I attended Ball State University, where I created another organization under the name the United Coalition. And then after I was done with my bachelor's, I went on to join the Black Graduate Student Association through the first Indiana State Black Graduate Student Conference. So one of the things that I really do work on is not only just building organizations and building events around culture, but also really educating the African-American community about their culture. To go on to your question on fear, just to make this very short, there's a quote by Marianne Williamson, and our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. This comes back to the fact of we fear the unknown. A lot of persons fear the unknown because they have not armed themselves with adequate truth, with adequate knowledge that would allow them to navigate through life and better operate without that fear. And I believe when people really start to begin to arming themselves with knowledge, first with the knowledge of self and then with the knowledge of the environment around them, they will then begin to really eliminate fears. And really when they begin to study, like for an example, Brother Truth going into starting his own business, when they really begin to study the market and study their craft, they will find that. So
keep going. You keep going though, Tony. Keep going. But he was just, I don't think he thought you heard him on the first one. But keep going though. You good?
Okay.
Do you want to end it out?
Well, just again to just reiterate, again, when people really begin to arming themselves and learning the market that they want to begin to go in, and especially in terms of business, they will find that their anxiety and that their fear begins to lessen, especially when they begin to participate in things that not only make themselves better, make their character better, makes their knowledge better. Again, they will find that the anxiety begins to lessen.
Okay. All right. Y'all ready?
So Jason, before we get right into that Q&A, I know there's some distinguished guests, a couple people that I invited on. It was a DJ from Chicago. It was a young brother that was 15 years old. He's not on now, and I wanted to introduce him, but I had met him at a program, and he's been in touch with me ever since. It's probably been about 3 years, and this brother has excelled in his DJ game, and of course he's not on now, but I did want to acknowledge him. Of course, we have Brother Yandre, and hopefully you all that are not showing your faces, although we gave you the option of sending your questions to Jason, or I think that's what Jason was saying, send your questions to him. You can actually take your camera and turn it on, and you can engage the conversation if you would like.
Logic.
We just did want to give that invitation to you all.
Look at all that logic.
That's what I want to add before we go into the question.
But let me ask you this, DJ. I have a feeling if we could have a conversation so dope that people will eventually start opening their screen up, because it happened a little bit there at the beginning. We had everything was like coming on like traffic signals.
I agree. Maybe we need to add a little levity or something to it.
Okay, so let's do it like this. Anybody got any questions? Now remember, all the gentlemen that's on that flyer build with a lot of high minds, right? So let's talk about some topics you can write in. Okay. You can write in, ask questions on the chat screen, or you can just, like DJ said, you can press the button and be on and unmute your mic and have a quarantine conversation and get some solutions to your problems. Or if you don't have any problems, can you please public speak right now and teach us how to not go through that? Because I promise you, and I'll cash app you too. We'll get you.
Let me add this too, Jason. If you don't want to turn your camera on, maybe you can turn the mic on. Anybody.
Just to make sure. Just gonna give it.
Have you got any questions, Jason? Have you got any questions?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of people right now just want to listen, but remember the format. That's pretty okay. We got one. We got a good one. What are 1 to 2 books that you are reading that will attribute to the tuning or to the turning of your thought process? So literally, what are 1 to 2 books that you are currently reading that somebody can read during the quarantine that will literally have them being like, oh, I'm about to get my discipline up, or I'm about to upgrade my motivation or inspiration? So anybody can go. I got Thomas unmuted. I have Don unmuted, Tony unmuted, and I have Truth unmuted. So if anybody wants to answer that, feel free.
Hey, Jason, this is Dominique.
Dominique, how you doing? We have a live question.
How are you? You said what?
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute everybody's mic. Now, what was you saying?
A book that I would suggest can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
A book that I would suggest to read during quarantine and beyond is The 4-Hour Work Week. The 4-Hour Work Week is a superior book when it comes to thinking through and raising your level of discipline and organization. But more importantly, I like this book because it's not just giving you strategies, it's helping you to think through with your own how to reach those things in order to get you further. And they refer in this book to, they have a label for a group of people that are utilizing their intellectual abilities to leverage their income, and they're calling this group of people the new rich. So it's a very fascinating book, and I dedicated a whole journal to this book. So every day when I'm listening to it, I'm writing notes and developing my strategies for how I'm going to leverage my intellectual ability and not necessarily my physical manpower to be rich.
Okay. Appreciate that. Anybody else?
I would say a book that's given me some light, and I'll put it up. It's called The Way of the Superior Man, and it speaks to energies. I know energies, but it speaks to masculine and feminine. I think men and women alike could benefit from it. And just talking about, especially from a masculine and a male point of view, the men being out in front and making decisions and being leaders in the community, and your relationships and the things that's important to you and your family. So, David Didia, it's a good read. Another book, Right Color, Wrong Culture.
Oh,
Like. Insight on yourself. I'm in education. I'm a teacher. I'm also a basketball coach. So I'm only the second African American or black head coach in my school's history. So there's a lot of struggles that goes into being in. I went to the state championship last year. Jason knows this, and we spoke about it. How it wasn't anybody that looked like me as far as I elevated. So good book that gives you some brevity on that. And Kingdom Man is another book that I've been. There's also Kingdom Woman. There's Kingdom Kid. All kind of that'll give you some insight, some input on things and where your mindset can grow.
Love it.
So one of the biggest things for books that I've been reading, especially during this time, is John C. Maxwell, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. This is actually a very good book. A lot of the books that I really read are books on how to administer to one's mindset. As both you and I, Jason, know, no person can do anything without the mind. So until a person really begins to practice alleviating or uplifting their mind, they will never really be able to uplift their situation. Another good book that did wonders for me in my thinking and thinking on a higher level were the African openings to the Tree of Life. This is actually a pretty good book. It's also by E. Peters that gives life-giving principles. And a lot of what we discussed actually are within that book. And it discusses cosmic law and laws of attraction. And I think any really good book or books on law of attraction is really good. The last book that I would like to just administer to people, I know a lot of people are familiar with this book, but Always Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Always Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it's a very simple read and it tells people and allows people how to think differently on finances and wealth.
Okay.
I have one as well. I don't know if y'all can see it, but this is my personal favorite. Tony Robbins, Money Master Again. It's a great book as far as personal finances, learning how to invest, and just financial knowledge overall. I've read this book a couple of times. It's a long read, but it's most definitely a worthwhile read. And it's one of the greatest books I've ever seen before.
Love it. Anybody else? Brother Thomas, did you want to come in? Because before you go in there, I got a rock star question.
Yes.
No. Brother Thomas, so that's what I'm saying. Do you want to do this one or do you want to do both? Because I got a rock star question as well. In truth, you going to love it as well, this question. But no, you can go into that and then I'll go back to you in the same manner.
Okay. The two books, of course, book number one, first and foremost, that I would encourage anybody on here to read, whether male or female, is Message to the Black Man by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's Message to the Black Man in America. In that book, even though the title says Message to the Black Man in America, it doesn't just mean black man as far as the male species, but it's for men and women. And in that book, it encapsulates every single thing that we've spoken about tonight. And then another book that I've actually been studying, I've read it before and I'm rereading it. It's called Goals by an author named Brian Tracy. He has a really good one too called No Excuses, Self-Discipline. But Brian Tracy, and in the book Goals, he goes into how to properly come about writing goals and achieving goals, because goal is a word that we all throw out a lot. But there was a study conducted in the Harvard Business School in between 1979 and 1989. It was over a 10-year period. And they conducted a study with their graduates, and 3% of the graduates had clear written down goals. The other 13% of these graduates, they had goals, but they weren't written down. And then the other 84%, they figured that, man, I'm graduating from Harvard Business School. I'm pretty good with that. So they didn't have anything written down or any plans. And so after the 10-year study, the 3% who had clear written down goals and plans attached to those goals were earning 10 times more than the other 84% and the 13%. So the other 97%. And so the book goes into the significance of goals, but the detailed strategy that goes into putting a goal on paper and coming up with plans and strategies to fulfilling goals. Because goals must be attached to everything else that we're striving to do. So I would say Message to the Black Man in America by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and also Goals by Brian Tracy.
Love it. And what I'm going to do is, since everybody pulled their books out, I didn't want to leave because I didn't know when you were going to be done talking. So I'm going to have to go get two books and share what that I think that everybody should read. Again, two books that I'm dealing with right now. But I want to go into this, and by the time it's over, I'll share my books. And then DJ, you can share your books as well. But I want y'all to listen to this question. In truth, this is a rock star question for you. This is literally an alley-oop. You just got to catch it, go through your legs, whatever you want to do with this one. But it's a shift, y'all. It's a shift happening, right? So things are not going to go back to how they used to be.
Right.
So according to that, this question is from DeAndre. What are the preparations that we are taking as a people to survive this economic downfall that we are entering to? How are we investing our dollars, and what do we think about saving in physical currency, silver and gold? Now look at Truth. He's laughing because again, that's an alley-oop to his life. And again, I'm all ears to this. But if anybody wants to get this first, because you probably don't want to go behind him on this question. Or we can go straight to Truth. Okay. Take it away.
All right. So as far as preparation of this economic downfall and the recession that we're going into, thanks to this virus, people not being able to work over spaces, I will say this as far as the steps in order to take while we're going into this recession is to learn how to not only invest, but how to day trade. Now, the difference between day trading and investing is this. Day trading is more so short term and making more quick money, while investing is long term. The thing with day trading is you can make money whether the market goes up or down. So if the market crashes, which it has, you're making money. When we get back to where we were or in a better position, we're making money. So no matter which way the market goes, you're making money. So that would be my biggest thing as far as learning a new skill in the preparations and taking actions in order to become, I guess you could say, recession proof. And as far as investing in physical things such as silver and gold, this is a time more so of digital and the upcoming of tech, of AI, and just more so everything becoming virtual. So as far as physical things like gold and silver might even eventually become digital themselves. So I can't really, well, I also can't give advice on it. I will say, leave you with that.
Okay. Let me unmute everybody's mics. We had some static in the background. So we got you, Brother Thomas. We got you, Don. And yeah.
Can I add on to that, Brother Jay?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Man, that was a beautiful question. And I was literally having a conversation because I was meditating on the conversation that we were having a few days ago. And one thing that is for certain is that the dollar is losing its value. It's promised to completely be worth nothing. So teaches the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the economic time we in right now bears them witness. So even when it comes to investing in stocks, and that is an excellent avenue to learn. But I would say investing in the physical currency of gold and silver is even more important than that, because those are things that countries have as their primary standard. So when you look at Libya and how Muammar Gaddafi was striving to come up with a whole African Union where gold would be the standard of trade. When you look at the East itself, period, where all of the resources that we utilize come from, these physical currencies such as gold primarily and silver are the reality that will sustain themselves even when the American dollar falls. So I would say learning about investing in those physical realities or the physical currencies of gold and silver, it would do us best to make that a primary economic study and a primary survival study as far as finances or as far as surviving economically. But on top of surviving economically, we definitely have to survive spiritually as well. Because as it says in the scripture, what good does it gain a man to gain the whole world, but yet lose his soul? So we can have gold, we can have silver, hell, we can have 1 million in stocks. But if we don't have ourselves together at the root, which is spiritually, then it's all for naught anyway.
And those are straight facts. Anybody else want to jump in? Or I got another bomb question, but it's in the health and wellness industries now. And it's taken it to another level. So let me go into this. Understanding that one should, and everybody's writing philosophical too. So this is, so I'm gonna say it because it feels philosophical. Understanding that one should be eating more fruits and vegetables. What are your thoughts on being in the lifestyle of keto and not overdoing the amounts of carbs that are in the fruits and vegetables? So now we're going deeper into, okay, how much fruits and vegetables should we eat? Now it's like, can we get into that? Anybody want to attack that? But because again, next week we got Vivian Muhammad, and she can answer that in her sleep. So again, if we can't answer it now, we can definitely answer that question. Okay.
Well, Jason, I'd like to chime in and just say, with regards to eating in general, which can tie back to a response that I would have about the previous question. We have to start thinking about things in terms of how to sustain life.
Before you finish that, can I ask you a question, Dominique?
Yeah.
Have you ever managed many black farms in the Houston area before in your life?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to get the context of where you coming from, because I've been waiting on this. This is dope. So you managed, how many farms, how many black-owned farms have you managed in Houston?
So I most recently managed over 150 farms here in the Houston area.
Okay.
I have a garden, an urban garden of my own that I manage with a master gardener, Timothy Hammond of Big City Gardeners here in Houston. And we work with another organization, Seeds of the Soil, where we do over 180 gardening programs in Houston area schools.
Love it. Wow.
And I am a social worker as well as the executive director of Inspired Learning Institute, a leadership training and apprenticeship training youth center here in Houston.
Is it close to Jay Prince's? Are you close to Jay Prince?
2 blocks over from Rap-A-Lot, Rap-A-Lot Records.
Just wanted to make sure
in Fifth Ward, in Houston's historic Fifth Ward.
Okay.
And what I wanted to say is we have to start looking at wealth as it relates to sustaining life. And obviously, someone already mentioned that the priority in the foundation of sustaining life should be spiritual. Your spiritual relationship with God, with the universe, with whatever you want to call it, the higher power that needs to sustain you. But the very next thing that we start to need to think about as it relates to wealth as wellness is food. And food, the man who holds the seed will hold all of the wealth of the world. The very next response in this conversation was to diet, to what you should be eating. And from a spiritual context as well as a physical and mental wellness perspective, you eat what is best for your body. I really think we need to get away from this concept of these diets, especially diets that are being told to us and taught to us by, in my opinion, the very people that are behind the disease that we suffer from. So God already gave us the blueprint for how we should eat. We should eat according to what is best for our bodies. So we need to learn our bodies and what works for our bodies. And in order to understand that, you got to step away from this concept that I'm going to follow a diet and all of a sudden it's going to transform me internally or outwardly physically. You need to eat what is going to transform you from the inside, both mentally and physically, so that it'll manifest on the outside. There's a way in order to do that. You do that by learning your DNA. There are tests that you can take to get your food analysis. That's not even something that I would solely depend on. Working with a medical team, which doesn't necessarily just mean your doctor, that also needs to mean your spiritual counselor, however you get your spiritual diet.
Come on.
Because once you start paying attention to how your body and your mind responds to what you put into your system, then you will start to understand the connection between your actions and your energy, what fuels you both physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I think, to answer the question, I hope that whoever asked and everybody listening, this is answering the question. We need to pay attention to what our bodies need. At different times, your body is going to need different things. At different ages, your body is going to need different things. But specifically in a time of crisis, you need something that is going to heal you mentally and physically. So you want to look at the types of foods that are healing and not just those things that are on a list of so-called diets. I can't speak for everybody, but I've gone through numerous health changes in the last 4 years that have forced me to have to pay attention. I think this is also what this quarantine thing is doing for us as well. It's causing us to have to pay attention. So I think we need to start instructing people, especially our young people and our young athletes. When you eat, log what you're eating. Pay attention to your attitude, your temperament, your mood, your physical responses to the food that you just ate. It's not normal for us to do that because we're in such a get up and go type of mind frame, especially in America. But we eat too fast and we don't pay attention to what we eat. If you start falling in love with the food that you eat, you're going to start wanting that food to look good like you want your wife or your husband to look good. If you want your food to look good, you're going to start to pay attention to where your food is coming from, how it's being cooked, the color, the texture, the smell, the vibe, the energy. When you start paying attention to those things, you don't need no book to tell you what to eat. Because I can tell you, I'm going to be doing a class on how I went from 230 pounds to I'm getting ready to be 47 in 2 weeks.
Like don't crack.
Hey, listen here. But when you pay attention to what you feeding yourself, it makes a whole lot of difference in the outcome. And that's what we asking. We ask about diets because we want an outcome. Your diet needs to be spiritually, mentally, physically, what feeds you and gives you the output that you're looking for. So I hope that answers people's questions.
No, you went to the bottom of the ocean. And again, I think what you just did is you just opened up a part of the ocean that I know for a fact everybody gonna go into now. So so let's just say we got a little understanding of how to feed our physical body. Now, if anybody want to take this, how do we strengthen our mental and spiritual bodies? And again, Dominique, you can end when everybody's done with that if you want to add on that and build on that.
Jason, before they answer that question, the brother I was speaking about earlier, and the beauty of the whole thing is we got people from all over the globe, man. That's the most powerful thing about this dialogue and these perspectives. We coming from different regions of the country, so we pulling on each other. So the brother I was mentioning earlier, it's a Latin brother that I met in Chicago. He's 15 years old. When I first met him, he was starting out in the DJ game, and he was asking, as you know, I am a DJ and a radio host for a podcast. So he was asking me a little bit about, what I need to do, what kind of equipment I need to get. So the brother, he's back on. DJ, you on there, bro? You there?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Yeah, man. Can you introduce yourself? Maybe tell everybody what you're doing, man. It's important for everybody to understand that we have to join an alliance with our brown brothers and sisters, man. All over the country, we have division in different cultures, especially amongst people of color. So having an alliance with this brother has been beautiful. I've been talking with him for like 3 years. He's been hitting me up on the Messenger, on Instagram, and we've been building back and forth about DJing. So explain what you do, give him a quick intro, and then brother Jason, if you can repeat that question. I just didn't want to forget this brother because he's only 15 years old.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat the question to you and take it away. And then Truth, if you want to go after him, and then we'll work our way up. But definitely want to get both of y'all perspectives on this. Let's just say we got a proper understanding on how to feed our bodies, right? Let's just say hypothetically we got a lot of nutritional information going around. What are some best ways to strengthen our minds and our spirits? Or watch this. I don't believe in that spirituality mumbo jumbo. Okay, scientists, how do we feed our energy? Same thing, tomato, tomato. How do we feed our spirit, or how do we feed our energy? And then how do we feed our minds that makes all this work? Okay. Your mic is on.
It's working, right? All right, my bad.
No, you good.
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Just the last part.
No doubt. How do we feed our minds, and how do we feed our spirits, our energy? And again, the only reason why I say spirit or energy, if you believe in science, you call it energy. If you a spiritual person, you call it spirit. But same thing, that invisible, metaphysical substance that makes us, so if you walk into a room, you can feel people looking at you, right?
Right.
Whatever that thing is that keep us alive, because when we go to a funeral, we don't feel that coming from the casket, because there's nothing inside of the body, right? So whatever that invisible substance, energy, or spirit that makes us vibrate higher or lower, and then our minds that tells us to go in the directions. How do we feed our minds and how do we feed our spirits, our energy, besides our bodies?
Right. Okay. So like, what I would say is like, I think that.
And then cut him off.
Yeah, we
What we'll
lost
do
the
is,
connection.
no problem. We just gonna be too smooth to
Brown. That's that brown and black unity, man.
We gonna blame Zoom. We're gonna blame Zoom for that. So when he get back on, we'll just go back into that. But Brother Thomas, if you want to take that, and then when he gets back on, we can just shoot him back in. How do we strengthen our spirits, our energy, and our minds besides our bodies?
Yes, sir. I first wanted to salute my sister who gave that beautiful exegesis on, not necessarily believing in a keto diet or a diet.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am, a diet, period. Definitely got to do more living than dying it. For sure. But, inside of the book that we mentioned earlier in the discussion, How to Eat to Live, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that your body is consistent of two digestive systems that work in accord with one another. That's the mental digestive system and the physical digestive system of the, of your stomach, your intestines. And so what you eat plays a part in what you think, and what you think plays a part in what you eat. So you can't eat wrong and think right, or you can't think wrong and eat right. They both work in accord with one another. So even getting to this question that you just asked, how do we strengthen our relationships? We have to go inside of ourselves, because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches on page 4 of Message to the Black Man that the greatest question that one can engage in asking is, who is God? He said, but right after that, when you learn the knowledge of God, you learn the knowledge of yourself. And when you learn the knowledge of yourself, you learn the knowledge of God. So the more we go in tune with ourselves, and as Brother Dunn was saying earlier, how he meditates. So some people go into meditation, some people go into prayer, some people study nature, because the Holy Quran teaches that there's a message in everything in creation. We can study the ant, we can study the bee. So going in ourselves and gaining a closer relationship with the Creator of the very life that we're blessed is how we gain a stronger connection with that soul, that essence of ourselves. Because going out of ourselves will not do us any benefit, but going in ourselves would do us the most benefit.
Facts. Coach Carlisle, did you want to take that? Or here we go, Dominic, you got it. And then Don, we'll bring you in.
I just want to say, again, just thank you so much. That was wonderful and right on target. But the other thing too, I want to connect that back again into wealth. We are moving into a time that we are about to see what we have learned from God's word for many years. There is a shifting and there is a changing of the tide. And that change is moving into a direction that is going to begin to reward those things that are of God. I had mentioned when I was talking, the man who holds the seed holds the greatest wealth. And it's not just the seed to plant the food that we eat, but it's seed, for what is being planted in your mind. The people who are going to survive are the people with strong minds, strong immune systems, strong ethics, strong, ability to overcome, to endure, and to, more importantly, develop something from nothing. Because everything that we are being ushered into a time where everything that we know it from a day-to-day standpoint, from a wealth standpoint, is about to shift. It's about to change. So we need to start thinking back to the foundation and being able to grow your own food, being able to, develop something from nothing in order to earn a living, in order to, earn position, is going to be critically key. You know, so I think another thing that we need to kind of step away from and move in a different direction is the idea that we're going to be able to rely on the same methods and vehicles of gaining wealth and gaining, you know, mental and physical position in life.
Straight facts. Coach Carlisle?
I didn't really have much to add. I was in agreement with the brother and the sister, and I think it's always mentally, man. It's how you think. It's positivity. I think that you know, whatever that you ingest is what you'll manifest in the physical. So whatever you thinking positively, you know as well as I know, it's all in your thoughts. So if you think positive and you live positively, then it'll be what you manifest in reality.
Okay. I want to talk about this because this is one of my topics, and I actually love talking about these topics. And then we'll segue into this question, and anybody can take it. And I definitely want Truth to chime in on this one. So when I finish this, I'm going to ask the question already, so y'all can marinate on it. Is your business life cyber ready? That's going to be the next little go around. Is your business life cyber ready? And then I want to answer that mind and spirit question. When I first got into so-called whatever consciousness, I really went into spirituality really, really hard, right? Because again, I was like, man, I'm trying to search for this so-called knowledge, and I ran into spirituality and I loved it. But then when I started growing in spirituality, I was like, you can't do none of this without your mind. So then I thought to myself, I said, hold on. But spirituality, it's all about spirituality. Then I said, okay, well, let me take my mind and put it right here, and let me see how much spirituality I could do. And I couldn't do no spirituality without my mind. So then I said, okay, well, let me not negating spirituality, just like you don't negate elementary school, middle school, high school, college, but there's levels, right? So when I got to the mind, I was like, oh my God, the deepest place that I can go besides the mind is cause of mind. Because a lot of people say, well, God or the creator is mind. God and the creator is the cause of that. Just because we think that's the end all and be all for us, that wouldn't say that the creator is just the mind. But the mind is a huge piece of who the creator is. Now, back to us, and I'm going to answer that question really quick. Have you ever really studied a lot and you started knowing a lot and started vibrating higher? And then have you ever took time off and then you didn't know a lot and you didn't do a lot because you didn't know a lot to do? What if these are not our minds? What if we have access to God's mind or the creator's mind, and the more we eat, the more we vibrate, and the more we can do, and the more we can become like the mind that we're tapping into? That's just a thought. Just how I look at that.
Man.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so now, the dumber you are, you become the low vibrational energy. But have you ever met a person that just keep eating the different aspects of mind? Because we got a lot of Christians in here that believe in my people perish for the lack of knowledge. But last time I checked, there was no title before it, knowledge. It didn't say Christian knowledge. It didn't say black knowledge. It didn't say white knowledge. It said my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So what if God's mind is like a pizza and we have access to different slices? Watch this. We have the free will to access to all those slices, because fear can keep you away from that slice. Fear can keep you away from that slice. We have to be dying because we're staying away from different slices of God's mind. And I want to end with this. Jason, I'm not feeling none of that. This is my mind. I run this. Okay, cool. Have you ever went to an old folks home and everybody was sharp? If that's your mind. How many times have you was like, man, I need some knowledge, man. Let me go to this old folks home. Not a lot of us do that. Why? And what do so-called old folks say? They lost a step. They not as sharp. Because this is not your mind. You have access to higher outputs when you go higher in knowledge. That's the only way. Like the movie Limitless. And then I'm going to have Brother Thomas come in. Remember the movie Limitless? Where you take that pill and use 100% of your mind? The Limitless pill is studying, studying, outputs, learning. That's the limitless pill. Limitless pill is outputs of inputs and inputs of outputs. So literally, to use 100% of your mind, you literally got to try, even though you might not be able to do it. Try to study 100% of things and watch what happens. Brother Thomas, I know this is your topic as well.
Man, that was beautiful teaching.
Appreciate
the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said that poverty is not a lack of money. He said poverty is a lack of know-how. So that can be poverty mentally or physically, but poverty is a state of mind. Also, in Message to the Black Man, he said that we are not a body with a mind in it. We are a mind with a body wrapped around it. This is just all evidence. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that we have the ability to grow into our perfected state, which is the mind of God. How do we know it? Jesus, for those who may know the scripture, Jesus said, let this mind be in you. The same mind that was in Christ Jesus. The mind that was in Jesus was the mind of God, so much so that Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. Me and my Father are one. So the mind had him manifest in activity, or engaged in activity that will bear witness to God even being a physical reality. And so we, you, I, all of us, we have access to that mind. And I'm in 100% agreement with you. Our access comes by way of studying. And not
Thomas, I don't want to cut you off, but I gotta ask you this, man. I feel crazy right now. So I gotta ask you this. Are you saying if you study like a guy, you can look like a guy? You can look like what you study? I'm just asking.
Brother Nuri, who is our student minister here in Indianapolis, he has a beautiful quote on his book, man, that I really, really like. It's a beautiful quote. And it's on a book that he has called Let This Mind Be in You. No, it's Let This Mind Be in You. And the quote that he has is, your life is your mind turned inside out.
Facts.
Dead Prayers, which is one of my favorite groups of all time. Dead Prayers had a saying that many others have said, everything we see is just a thought manifested. Mm-hmm. So the way that our life is, to the way that our furniture is arranged in our household, it's a direct reflection of our mind. So if we don't like, all of us are upset, or all of us are, even if we aren't upset, we're not satisfied with where we are right now, because even if we are at a level that supersedes a level of looking average, we still know that we have other levels that can be attained.
Come on.
Because our nature tells us that we have the ability to reflect the Creator who put us here. So the scriptures of the Bible in the book of Psalms 82:6 says that ye are all gods, lowercase g, children of the Most High God, capital G. So the only other way for people who may not be religious to even believe in a God is for those of us who believe in God to manifest God in our activity. So, and that doesn't just mean by what you wear or even the way you talk, because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, with all of the monumental moves that he made toward our progression, whether you Christian or Muslim or even atheist, was only a man that went to the 4th grade but never finished. He only finished the 3rd grade. But yet he had students like Malcolm, Muhammad Ali, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Kwame Ture loves the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Dick Gregory said that's where he got his consciousness from. So at the end of the day, we have the ability to mentally get to the level of the Creator. And if we get to that level, then we'll begin manifesting activity that will really be the panacea, which means the solution for all of our problems.
can I ask you a question? Because in truth, let me know if you're trying to come in. I see your screen come out. Thomas, let me share this with you, because I like to look for evidence and things that I believe in as well, because I really believe that our reality is nothing more than our thoughts, right? Yes. So I try to look at it from a scientific standpoint. I was like, okay, our reality is in 3D, right? So have you ever had a thought that faded away?
Yes, sir.
So if our thoughts create in 3D, 3D should fade away. And then that's when I started studying rust and deterioration. And I said, oh my God. So literally 3D fades away, and the thoughts that create the 3D that fades away. So even the digression of thought and the things connected to thought fade away. Because again, if this was our mind and if this was our thought, we should go back and be able to get that. That's why the mind is so precious to me, because you might wake up one day and you might not be there.
Yeah.
Because again, that vibration makes you think like that. But again, one bad card, one bad road rage incident, one bad text or one bad email can take us away from that level of mind or infinity position that we're at. So
I don't want to necessarily take away from anyone else who may have something to say, but man, you raised some great points. The Most Humble Elijah Muhammad teaches on different levels of mind too. So we may have done some before and said, dang man, if I were to use my first mind, or we may have done something and you say, man, I wasn't in my right mind.
Come on.
Or somebody may do something, you say, man, this nigga must be out his mind, or she must be out her mind. So we have different levels of minds. So our activity begins to mirror the mind in which we're functioning from. So the four levels of mind that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teach on is the reptilian mind, the beast mind, the mind of man, and the mind of God. So the reptilian mind is the mind that just functions on food, clothing, and shelter. That beast mind functions on lust, appetite, and desire.
Come on.
Then when we begin to elevate from those levels of mind, we begin to function on the mind of man, or logical. See, man functions off logic and reason.
Come on.
But then God functions with the highest level of mind, which is revelation. So that's different levels of mind.
Come on.
So we have the capability to grow, and as we evolve, as you know, we use different sayings like leveling up. You know, when someone levels up, it's because our mentality has leveled up. You know, so and I like to use everyday examples too. I was just studying this morning, Helen Keller. When we look at those who achieve, even when they have physical barriers that we may deem to be physical barriers, it's a certain mentality that a person has that may supersede someone that has physical prowess over a person with some physical incapabilities. So when you look at somebody like Helen Keller, this was somebody who was a complete mute, blind and deaf.
Come on.
But her name will be remembered throughout history for some of her accomplishments. You know, and that was just based on her mentality. You know, a mentality, striving to have a superior mentality, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with color.
Straight facts.
If a person wants to have a superior mentality, which is a supreme mentality, I should say, man, if we're willing to put in the study and the work that goes behind the study, God himself is not so unjust that he wouldn't put us in a position to manifest what he desires for us to manifest.
Straight facts.
Hey, Jason, I wanted to make a quick point, man.
Okay.
Just absorbing, man. Of course, trying to keep the flow and everything. Now we in a Q&A session. Man, I wanted to commend everybody that participated. And we talked a little bit about alliances earlier. My brother didn't get back on from Chicago, but another important alliance that I think we should put light on is the fact that we have women and men on this discussion.
Yes, sir.
And where can you go across the country and have a elevated conversation with women and men, especially Black women and men. You know what I'm saying? Without it being messy or competing with one another or trying to tear each other down. So I wanted to commend everybody that took time out of their busy schedule. Because some people have families, they have children, maybe they muted because their children making too much damn noise or whatever. But at the end of the day, we have taken time out of our schedule to, man, this is real excellence right here. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And, you know, we talked about how our home is our base, and we also need to take this time if we in relationships to be building with our husbands, building with our wives. If we are potentially about to get into a relationship, put ourselves together so we can be an awesome mate, so we can win these goals and win these admirations that we're talking about. I just wanted to mention that because it's really important to see a demonstration like this with both men and women doing something that's constructive.
Facts. And again, we have 10 more minutes. So yeah, again, we can go deeper into the mind, and then we can end, or we can go into this quick. No, let's do this. I want to share one more thing to add on to what you were saying, Brother Thomas. And then I want to end with one more question, because this is actually a really, really good question. But to add on, because you took that to a whole nother level. To add on some extra minds that we have, because again, let's escape all of that, right? Let's go to sleep. Now we got a dream mind, right? And then you wake up from the dream mind and you forget the dream mind because you're in your reality mind, right? And then the so-called light bulb or the epiphany mind of, oh my God, I never thought about that, right? Because that's the most powerful thing that anybody can say is, I never thought about that. I want to go through that every second of the day, just light bulbs all over the place, right? So we know that's not our regular mind because the light bulb doesn't happen all the time. But we know it's a reality, so we can tap into that. So if we know all of these minds that we are connected to, that's one thing I love about this and how everybody's on their path, is because you need to connect with somebody with a similar mind as yours so you can keep your mind right. Even if you veer off, just to have a place called home, which again, if mind over matter, what type of mental homes do we have? I can just leave it with that one. Now, let me go into this, and everybody can answer this according to, you know, whoever wants to take it. But this is another one from DeAndre. He says, how do we apply the power of unity financially and systematically? How can we start this process of unity in a world where the enemy has this unified us in all levels? What is some grassroots to start this? And I actually want to answer that question too, and I'll go last. But I'll say it again. How do we apply the power of unity financially and systematically? How can we start this process of unity in a world where the enemy has unified us on all levels? What are some grassroots approaches to begin this process? Anybody can take this. And I'll take it last. I'm going to take that one.
I got it.
Okay.
So as far as unity between financially and systematically, we have been systematically programmed to be, well, I want to say disunified, but not unified, obviously. And that has caused us to split us and cause rifts in our community and cause activity in our community. So as far as fixing that and building unity, not only financially and systematically, we have to not only support each other, but truly share knowledge within the community. And the best way to share knowledge and be able to grow the community is by creating wealth and creating generational wealth and financial freedom. Mm-hmm. And by doing this, because people always listen to people that have money. Like, if you don't have no money, nobody's going to listen to you. Because why would I listen to you when I'm better than you? Financially, at least.
Come on now.
So in order to grow, we have to grow our own wealth and not only support our own businesses, because we've done this before back in 1920s with Black Wall Street, but that got burnt down. So not only support our own businesses, but be able to not only learn how to invest, but control real estate, the stock market, and other markets and other avenues of income that we can generate for the community, so we can go back and teach the community in order to show them the same path. So that's how you create generational wealth and unity, because of course I'm going to listen to the person that has millions of dollars.
Love it. Anybody else? This is a deep question, y'all. Unity? Come on.
I would add. Brother Dunn, did you want to say anything?
His mic is mute. Don, you good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, did anybody else want to say anything? I just saw our brother Dunn. I see my sister just chimed in. Did you want to say something, sister? I didn't want to.
No, I think they're ready for you.
Okay. I was thinking about, as I heard Brother Truth speaking, the disunity that has become commonplace among us is one of the greatest barriers that we face when it comes to unifying. And there's a, I've heard from multiple individuals the difference between unity and uniformity. And our brother Nuri gives a great description of it, meaning that oftentimes we're looking for uniformity, but we're saying we're looking for unity. And so the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he just does away with that by saying the way that we can unify economically first, because I think that was the first part of the question, right, Brother Jason? Economically?
Financially and systematically, correct.
The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, get with 6 to 8 like-minded people. That's how we unify financially. And the more we begin to get with those like-minded people and we come up with a system, then our unity from the like minds begin to create a system that becomes the systematic system of unity. So often we're looking for uniformity and we are disguising it under the term unity. But if we're truly wanting unity and we're wanting to align ourselves with people with like minds, because unity for all even has to be clarified, because I personally, despite if a person has $1 million, I'm not striving to unify with a pedophile for the progression of our community.
True.
You understand?
Amen. I'm sorry. I had to just jump in on that because having $1 million or having $0 is not a test of a man's character or a test of a man's level of wisdom and faith.
That's right.
So I'm looking at your fruit and not your financial fruit.
That's right. That's right. And so when it comes to that unity, there has to be some things in place that have to be those standards that we have to meet when you come into the table to unify with us. And so like minds more than likely produces like actions, like activity. Because if we're thinking alike, even if we aren't in the same space, we're still going about the spaces that we're in with the same type of mentality. So
Can I hit you with this, Brother Thomas?
yes, sir.
In my 20s, I went to this leadership meeting, and it was a lot of these community leaders fighting. Why can't we unify? Why can't we do this? And again, as a youngin,
yes, sir.
I would say questions that would make me shiver after I asked them, like, why did I ask that? But I would still ask it because it would still be like crazy truth to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be crazy truth to me, right? So I said one time, and I got in trouble too. I'm in my early 20s, and I'm around leaders that I'm trying to build with. But I said, well, all the stories that I read about people who are trying to unify, it's usually jealousy, envy, laziness, seeing ability. Because when people be like, I don't know about you, Thomas. They're literally saying I can't see you, but they're making it your fault that they can't see you, which is insane to me, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, well, what if we unify if we have more jealousy workshops and envy workshops and laziness workshops and seeing ability workshops and proper communication workshops and working while you're tired workshops, right? Because a lot of us want to unify, but guess what? I'm tired. Can we unify during busyness? I'm busy, right? Everybody wants to use that busy word. Working through rumors. That's another one.
That's called character development.
Come on. Brother Thomas talking behind your back. I could easily ask you, but I believe the first person that told me that. Now, again, unifying, those are one things that stop us from unifying. So again, can we work through rumors? So a lot of these new workshop topics, I think we need to have, because we will never unify in nothing. And then lastly, I'm a firm believer in what you just said as far as like-minded people. So a lot of us are entrepreneurs here, right? One thing I hear from entrepreneurs, I need a team. But guess what? Everything that you get done, you have a list of people that you call anyway. Why don't y'all all hang out? That is your team. Think about it. I got somebody that I call for this. 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 But I'm looking for a team. No. You're just not hanging out with the people that you call for everything.
Right.
That's your round table. But I don't want to. I know we're 1 minute away. But y'all, listen up. I promise y'all. We can't make this a one-time thing. Everybody has their own path. If somebody says something on this talk that resonated with you, I don't care if it's $1, I don't care if it's $1 million. Can you please send a donation to somebody watch this, only if they took your life to another level. Now, if they ain't talking about nothing and you knew everything that they was talking about, don't send a cash app. But again, I'm telling y'all, if we can start doing this with the male and female and start sharing wealth and knowledge via online, we can create a new shift. Because last time I checked, a new shift is happening anyway. So we could be on the forefront of the new happenings. Those are my final thoughts. DJ, if you wanted to add something, we're at 9 o'clock.
Not much. I just, again, wanted to reiterate, take the time when while we're quarantined and, of course, echoing what everybody else said, work on self. And, if you're in a relationship, since it stays at home, since it starts at home, and that's the base, work on your team. That's your first team. It launches from there. There's a book that I like to read. It's called Nursing Your Marriage 24/7. It's by Betty Eiley. It's a beautiful book. It goes into details. It's kind of a storytelling book, not necessarily fictional. It's very non-fictional, but as you look at the style of her, the way she published this book is more like she's telling a story about how she did it. Very balanced book. It's not male bashing. It's not woman bashing. Another book, Brother Thomas had mentioned, the author of a book, Brother Nuri Muhammad. He actually got a book called Before I Say I Do and After I Say I Do. For those that are in relationships, I like to always mention that because a lot of times, the basis of a lot of these discussions are always about, the division of male and female. So I always want to ultimately bring our attention to male and female relationships, because that's important when we're having these discussions. That's how you keep it balanced. So that's it.
Facts. All right, everybody. Sending you highest clarity, highest manifestation abilities, peace and love.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Everybody have a great night.
Take
Love.
care.